raising awareness through every track. All-Star PD Sportscast on the rise, shouting loud, reaching the skies. Can't stop, won't stop, our game is strong, fighting Parkinson's all day long. Tim's Chalk Shine.
Welcome everyone back to another episode of All-Star PD Sportscast. I'm George Ackerman, Sharon's son from Together for Sharon, and my co-host right to the next to me, wrong way, that way, is Tim Locker from My PD Party. This is a show where we discuss the world of sports, slowing the progression of Parkinson's disease, and also really just try to make everyone smile for a little bit, even if it's at our own expense, it's fine. But I want to start off first by congratulating Tim again. I couldn't unfortunately be there because there's so many things going on, but I got to live through, virtually the experience of, I'm going to call him MVP Tim from now on. So I just want to know if you could touch a little bit about the Michael J. Fox Foundation MVP awards from Team Fox. We love them. We support them, and it's such an honor to have a co-host now that is an award-winning broadcaster.
Thank you. What's shaking, guys? I mean, listen, it was, I guess MVP is most valuable Parky. I'm going to go with that. But listen, it was an amazing weekend. Listen, I was not expecting that at all. I was invited because of the event that I had hosted, which was a soccer tournament. And luckily, my children were there. My mom was there, and they gave me one of their highest awards, if not the highest, which is the Hero of Advocacy Award. And it was truly, my mind was blown. It was one of the greatest nights of my life, if not the greatest. I mean, with everybody being there. But what it meant to me more than anything, and this is going to sound crazy, it means that your voice is heard. I mean, for all the times that I mean, let's face it, sometimes you feel like you're beating your head against the wall advocating, and it can be a thankless job. It really can. But when things like that happen, I mean, not that it's about getting accolades, but it shows you people are listening. And if the people that are giving awards could listen, then so could the people that are making the laws and donating. So like I said, you could always advocate. There's no reason not to. There's always something that could be done at your level. And like I said, you never know when somebody is listening. And it was such an honor. I was so blessed to have it.
You're a hero of our show, and always to me. A lot of
Thank you.
people don't see off the camera how much time we do kind of try to spend together, even though we're
Yeah.
states away. But also, the room is full of other people who, some days when I always say on my show that I feel like, I can't bring my mother back. It's kind of time to close the book and wrap up and move on. But then I meet you years ago. I meet Peggy, who we're going to honor to have her today. We'll get to in a moment. And the whole room. Luckily, I've met a lot of them, spoke to them, but someday, hopefully, I'll be there. It's just so many. But we're heading again. Everyone joining us. I hope you'll join us at the third time. We're heading to the Unity Walk. I don't know. Hopefully, Tim might be able to drop by, but it's in one of the most beautiful places in the world. On a day that I never forget is at New York City Central Park. It's I call it happy chaos. It's just it's and it goes fast. Unfortunately, coming from Florida, it's not easy to get there. So not sure if we'll be able to keep attending, but I can tell you I love being there in the room. Just like in Washington, D.C., I had the honor, of course, of meeting Tim a year ago, and then finally Peggy, even though I wish we all had more
I
time
know.
together in D.C. at the Policy Forum. Before we get to the drum roll and the real show, I do want to send a thank you. We're also trying to reach the world because sports and slowing the progression doesn't just end in the U.S. It's a worldwide effort. A lot of us here live now going to be attending the World Parkinson Congress next month, which is pretty exciting. Unfortunately for me, it's tough due to health and a lot of reasons to get out of
Yeah.
the U.S. So it's an honor that it's in Arizona. But we wanted this show also to be joined and share with the World Parkinson Congress, Parkinson's UK, Parkinson's Europe, Australia, and Parkinson's Canada. But there's so many others too that
Yeah.
I've had the honor to interview a lot of the people who are going to be in the room. So I was telling
It's
Peggy
great.
earlier, like I can't, we had about 200, 300 advocates in DC, and it was like a dream come true to be there. But imagine now 3,000 people. I'm probably
Yeah.
not going to make it down the hallway.
True. But listen, it's such an inspiring community. It really is.
Well, I want to now get to the
Yes.
main event, the main event, and of course, talking to Tim is just again an honor. It feels like it's been so long, but it's not. It's only been a
Yeah.
month. But we try to do this at least once a month just to get everyone, also anyone listening. If you are involved in sports or Team Fox, feel free to reach out to Tim or myself. We'd love to also have you. Today now is very important. somebody I consider family, someone who's written an actual book with me and just done so much. And I got to hug her for the first time in person, which is something I'll never forget. We want to welcome you, Peggy, to the show, and it's just an honor to be able to advocate together with you.
Thank you.
I'm going to send the show to Tim to start us off, but again, I hope everyone out there too is feeling good and feeling healthy. And our goal for this show, not just awareness, but we hope you'll smile, even if you see some marathon runners behind me running by while we're talking. I love this
Well,
guy.
the first question I always had, Peggy, and listen, before the Parkinson's kicked in, what made you become a runner? I mean, was it just a health thing? I mean, like long before you were a runner, obviously, long before you got Parkinson's. What was the appeal there? I mean, was it just in your family, or just what made you get into running?
No, it was just me. I actually started running in fourth grade. They put
Wow.
a local track in, and I would go down there and just go round and round and round and round. And you know, it's kind of crazy to say a fourth grader needed her personal space, but
I
that's
get it.
what I've always gotten out of running was it was my time. Then in 1984, I had graduated college, and I can remember watching TV and just being glued to the
Wow.
first women's Olympic marathon in LA, where Joan Benoit won, an American won it. And I just was fascinated. I could not stop watching it. And I really thought, if she can do it, I can do it. Of course, that's run a marathon, not win an Olympic gold medal. But
Well, listen, you're a
yeah.
pretty ambitious fourth grader, because as a fourth grader, the only place I was running to was the front of the cafeteria line. So God bless you.
Yeah, my parents were like, what is she doing there? And every now and then my dad would go for a walk and he'd be like, she's just going round and around and around.
That's
So
okay.
that's what I did.
Well, I was lucky enough to, I mean, I don't even know the third one. I did three 5Ks this year, and one was with Team Fox Disney, Run Disney. One was in Parkinson's Foundation in South Beach, and then one was at Florida Atlantic University for Together for Sharon and Drive Toward a Cure. I hope to do more, but I can't tell you the third one. I almost didn't make it through. So 5K and like, but honestly, while you're doing it, I have two questions, but one is like, while you're doing it, how do you not give up? I thought of Tim literally, I thought of Esther, I thought of you, Peggy, and everyone out there still battling, but this not, it's hot here in Florida, but it was like, I still wonder why I keep doing them, even though you feel great after. But I was curious, what are you thinking as you're, running, ensuring that you don't give up, but also curious, since the time you've been diagnosed, have your symptoms, affected your athletic running? That's the big question.
Well, your first question, what do I think of? Some people wear headphones and they say, "Oh, the music carries me. I couldn't do it without it." I never wear headphones. I would much rather run or walk next to somebody and find out their story and where they're from. Once you start on the 50 States Club, you have to do 10 marathons in 10 different states
Well,
before you're officially a member. But it's such a goal. I can remember in North Carolina when I came across the finish line, two guys finished and they high-fived and they said 34th state. And I thought, wow,
Yeah.
34 states. Will I ever get there? And just kind of the whole what am I doing? It just keeps you going. It's such a long-term goal. I mean, some people can do it fast. I'm not one. I have to recover. But I never gave up. And there were definitely some times when there were obstacles in the way where I could
and then
Now,
today,
I
sorry.
was going to ask you, Peggy. The reason I'm asking is because what I found out is I actually have what's called a torn hip labrum, and they said it's because of the way I was walking with Parkinson's, because my gait was off.
yes.
So my question to you would be, when you got after your diagnosis, and obviously to up until now to this point, from a training standpoint, from an equipment standpoint, is there anything that you do differently knowing that you have Parkinson's? I mean, do you train differently? Do you wear different shoes? I mean, are the thing like, because obviously people say you have to get out and you have to get running and moving. So
Right.
it's not that simple. I mean, is there certain precautions that people with Parkinson's need to take that you're aware of that maybe we should be?
So I was diagnosed almost exactly at the halfway point of my journey. And I actually coach a marathon training group.
Wow.
I'm part of USA Fit. And I knew, I kept telling myself, why is my gait off? Why is my arm swing off? I coach, I know this stuff. How
Yeah.
can I be messing it up? And then of course it was Parkinson's. The one thing that I did that a lot of people do is I said, I'm not going to take meds until it's absolutely necessary. That was probably not the smartest idea with
Yeah.
trying to run marathons. There were quite a few falls in that period. Um, I did try trekking poles
Okay.
and they helped, but to deal with them for 26 miles was a lot. So what I liked was courses that were loops and I could stash my poles and
Right.
then I'd
Right.
use them for maybe 2 loops and then take them back down. The other thing that was really hard to get a handle on was the timing of your meds and how to take them.
Yes.
Um, I can remember asking my neurologist, I said, you got to give me some guidance. I don't know what to do. How do I handle this? And her words to me was, Peggy, there's not a lot of people with Parkinson's out there running marathons. I don't have any research to
Yeah.
give you. You're going to have to do it on your own and you're going to write the book. And I do get tickled that, George contacted me and I am the chapter on marathons in
Yeah.
the sports, exercise, and slowing progression.
That's amazing because, and the reason I ask this is like even walking, a lot of people don't realize, like even if like that's my problem is my gait and my arm swing. When you're
Mhm.
not swinging your arm, it's throwing off your whole weight distribution, and then
Absolutely.
you're putting pressure on other areas and stress on other areas. So just something as simple as your arm not moving, the weight that your body's used to from walking is completely thrown off base. So I can't imagine running how it can take its toll on you for sure.
Well, I definitely went from running the full thing to running and taking walk breaks
Yeah.
to walking and taking run breaks to pretty
And
much walking.
hydrated, very hydrated, I'm sure.
Yeah, I am lucky that I have walked with the same group for about 9 years, and they are, mama bears to me. It's like, okay, what time are you taking your meds today? Peggy, your gait's a little bit off. You're leaning your head down or something, and they'll critique me, and I need it. I really appreciate it.
Well, and a lot of people will take that as critique, but it's not critique. It's actually helping you. That's a good friend.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, my goal is to have one maybe marathon before I'm gone from the planet, but I know your goal is to have 50, one in every single state. I was wondering about, what's your next step or what's your next plan in the world of marathons or even just running?
So after I finished, I still have not done the New York Marathon or the Boston Marathon. So those are the two fulls that someday I'd like to attack. I'm doing half marathons right now. I've got Lincoln, Nebraska coming up,
Oh,
Missoula, Montana, and then Anchorage, Alaska are the three remaining ones this year that I'm planning on. I may try and sneak another one in. I had so much fun writing the chapter in the book that when I finished my 50th marathon or 50th state, there was a group of 30 people that were with me. And we all sat around and we were chatting. And one girl says, I remember when you came to North Carolina, you were like your third or fourth state. And so I told a little story about North Carolina. And then another friend says, yeah, and we did North Dakota together. Remember how cold and windy it was? So I told a little story about North Dakota. And so somebody said, well, I'm from Connecticut. What's your Connecticut story? And I realized I had stories for every state. So one of the guys was an English professor, and he came up to me after we all kind of chatted and wound down. He says, you have got to write a book. He says, you don't have to publish it, but you've got to get these stories out while you still remember them. So I'm writing my own story, my own book. It's called Get Me to the Finish Line.
love it.
Um,
That's
yeah.
great. And actually, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit because that was going to be my next question. I mean, listen, you're talking to a guy who I'm not going to be running every state like you. I mean, my goal is to maybe watch a marathon in every state, but my question to you would be of the states that you've run and all the races you've had, tell us a story about one. What was the hardest one? What was the most? Is there a story that sticks out that you can share with us now before the book comes out?
Well, I tell you what, I love my last marathon, which was the Adirondack Marathon in New York. Ironically, my favorite race and my least favorite race are the same race. I have only not finished one marathon, and that was
Wow.
the Adirondack Marathon in 2022. It was supposed to be my 48th state. And, it was a day when Parkinson's won the battle. And I
Not the
don't let
war,
that
just the
happen,
battle.
not the war.
Exactly.
Around mile 20, my legs started to cramp, and I was reaching for a mailbox to try to stretch, and I missed, and I went flat on my face. I got up, I went another few feet, fell again, had a volunteer come and help me to an aid station, and ended up in ER. But it was absolutely Parkinson's related, the kind of the dizziness. I was I was probably over medicated.
Yeah. But you know
Just
what, Peggy? You won because you got back up. You
yeah.
won. It doesn't matter where you finished. You fell down and you got back up. So that makes you a winner. And that's something that we should all strive to do.
Well, so to continue the story, I ended up on crutches for 6 months with a knee brace, and I actually had to have a knee replacement. And then, you're starting from zero,
Yeah.
ground zero again, getting up to 26.2 miles. Um, that was kind of a rough road. But when I started laying out the plan for the last three, it's like, you know what? This same marathon is going to be my last one, just the
Wow.
way they fell.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty good mental victory as well
Yeah.
as physical. I had emailed the race director and said, could I get bib number 50? I'm doing my 50th state. Oh, and by the way, I have Parkinson's. Well, I did not know, but she called me back and said, oh my gosh, my father passed away. He had Parkinson's. Um, I would love to share your story with the volunteers if that's
Wow.
okay with you. So she sent an email blast to 700 volunteers, and I was a hero on that course. People were like, "Oh, there she comes. There's bid number 50." And they'd run out and walk a little bit with me, and they'd tell me the story of their brother, or somebody
Wow.
that had Parkinson's. Someone came out and was in the research world and started telling me stuff that was way above my head, but I was
Just what
like,
you wanted to hear
thank
at
you,
that moment.
thank you. So that was just a fantastic,
Nice.
fantastic event. The race director, as I'm rounding the corner, I'm seeing, this group, we're all in the same shirts, and there were actually 7 of us that went across the finish line together. My husband
Wow.
and one of my friends from kindergarten met us at mile 20. One of my middle school friends and her husband did the full thing with me. And then my 2 walking buddies that came from home that I've walked with for years, each did half of it. So we're coming across the finish line, and the announcer just has this booming voice, and he's, ladies and gentlemen, wearing bib number 50, we have Peggy Faber crossing the finish line. Not only is she finishing a marathon today, she's finishing her 50th marathon in her 50th states. And get this, folks, she's doing it while living with Parkinson's. And, the crowd's going crazy, and I'm
I love it.
crying. it,
Yeah, that
it
made
was
me cry now. That's amazing.
it was pretty special. I have 4 sisters. They were all there. I had 13 people from my high school were there. 4 of
Wow.
them were from kindergarten. Just some lifelong friends.
That's
It was
phenomenal.
it was a great experience.
Thanks for sharing that. Sounds like a movie that we will
Yeah,
be, Tim and I will be first in the row with popcorn waiting to hear. And this is one of my favorite pictures of you that you
I
share with
love
me.
that.
Yeah, I have like 4 of these with 5 kids. So I love this. And this is also, if everyone has time, go to togetherforsharon.com, click interviews. You can see a lot more in-depth interview we did together probably a few years ago now. Time flies, but you can also see how to reach out. And also, Peg was mentioning the book. If you purchase a book today, make sure to put Peggy's name. We'll donate 100% to you because that's what this is about. She's also out there fighting for all of you and also raising awareness. When you just said that story, I was thinking of 700 people now that might not have heard of
That's
Parkinson's,
right.
and now they're aware. And Peggy had an entire chapter here. You can see if you do a little more research on this, on marathons, and just came out. You could see all the incredible people who supported the book, the CEO of Parkinson's Foundation, and still out there. So again, hopefully we'll be able to take a picture together, Peggy, at World Parkinson together with the book, and hopefully we'll get a bunch of people here together too for that. As we, not wrap up yet, but continue the show. One of the most important points of the show. It's not. I mean, I think it's fun because I love hanging out with Tim, and it's just a great time. Some of the guests we've had, all of them have been
Yeah.
amazing. But the most important part for me and Tim, I think, is talking about how exercise today,
Yeah.
marathons might slow the progression of Parkinson's. So, Peggy, so wondering if you could tell our listeners some of the benefits of running, or even, if they can't do a marathon, they can still do so many other things like
Yeah.
walking.
Yeah. When I was diagnosed, I, I I had my first tremor the day after a marathon, and I had caught a red eye, and I thought it was just exhaustion. A lot of people will say, they had a tremor in their pinky and it was little. I was full on
Wow.
tremors. I mean, and my physical therapist says it's like the dam broke and, boom. Um, I've been diagnosed for about 8 years, and I still have people that tell me, you don't have Parkinson's, we don't see any symptoms. And I attribute that to the marathon
Yeah.
lifestyle. Um, it's proven that exercise is medicine, and I'm a firm believer of that. Not only do I run, but I cross train all over the place.
Wow.
I box, I play ping pong, I rock climb, I swim. Um,
When do you sleep?
I wish I did a little more of that.
Me too.
You can see the home gym behind me, and it's got a lot of toys. I have gymnastics rings. I'm trying to be like Jimmy. I'm not, but I do my pull-ups, and I just about any form of exercise,
Yeah.
I'll try it. The book has been super helpful for that. I found I'd read a chapter, like I was like, I haven't swam in a while. So I read the chapter on swimming, and it fired me up. And so I've been in the
Yeah.
pool, ever since.
Well,
Um,
you know what? But the last question I have for you, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. I know we always like to keep this about sports, but let's say that you ran to Washington for the policy forum. Listen, I know that was a life-changing experience for me. So, you mind sharing with the viewers a little bit? Because listen, I always say how big advocacy is. How was your experience going to Washington, and what did that how'd you kind of leave feeling?
it was something I couldn't believe how
Yeah.
inspiring it was. First off, you meet the people from your state and you hear their stories, and everyone's got incredible stories.
Yeah.
If it's not them with Parkinson's, it's a spouse or a parent or a loved one. Um, so that was amazing. Speaking to the aides, to the congressman, we actually, yeah. Um, we each told our stories. We ended up in tears
Yeah.
most of the meetings. Maria Cantwell was amazing. She actually asked us to stay late so she could
Wow.
talk with us personally.
That's awesome.
Hearing her talk with our Michael J. Fox representative Whitney about getting some things rolling and moving. Whitney had names, she had phone numbers, she had pointed to research documents. I mean, they just sat and talked, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
Um,
You wish they would all be that receptive, to be honest with you. That's phenomenal.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but that one experience, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It left me really feeling like I do have a voice. I am making a difference.
You are.
I'm not just a statistic.
Yeah.
I felt like I was listened to. I handed out my business cards. People looked at them.
I
They were
go,
like,
I
wow.
go. Well, that's the
That's
thing. It's even if one state, we won't say which one, but Florida is not as supportive. It's great to have the whole building kind of rocking and rolling with Parkinson's advocates. And as everyone knows, listening, they finally named the council. It was
yeah.
selected, but I feel that obviously something that impacted everyone in DC, not just this time, but the last time. And the work really starts when you get home. That's the most important thing. I know I sent a stack of letters, had written before I left to my representatives that we met, thanking them, but I'm still kind of getting them into coming on shows and getting a little more involved. We've been lucky that we had our senator has been incredible, but I'm glad to hear it, Peggy, that which state were you with too?
Washington.
All right, that's even better. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Washington State, not DC.
Well, we've talked about so many areas. There's still a lot left, and even after the show ends, the lights, camera, and paparazzi leave, the conversation has to continue. But as we kind of move forward here in our journey of all of us together, what I know you mentioned the book, but what's next for Peggy? I know I'll be seeing you, I hope, for a hug and another picture, but this time we'll get the whole group from the book, I hope, together at World Parkinson Congress. But what are your plans?
I have one other goal that has really just started percolating. Um, I want to carry the Olympic torch, and
Wow.
I'm gonna campaign for that. I just started checking out the process, and they said there'll be an announcement in September on usually it's nominations in like a voting or a contest. So that's
This community supportive. So once you say that and you give us the link, we'll share that
Yeah.
around the world. So you're very
yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, that's been on my bucket list. I've got that and the Northern Lights are two of my things that I really want to, seem within reach. So
Well, we
That's
really want to thank you for your time, motivation, dedication, and I feel inspiration, especially, I mean, even before today, but now, if I was tired right now, I'd be going running a marathon in my backyard. Just we'll film it, and Tim will do one at his house, and we'll just share the. But
that's all.
well,
as we
I tell
wrap,
you, I've just started the half, so I've got a
nice.
lot of states left.
Well,
So
well,
just let me know when you're ready and I'll do one with you.
South Florida. We hear you calling. But I wanted to send the show to Tim to kind of wrap up, but it's been an honor, pleasure to be with both of you as always. And again, I don't feel like the show when it closes ends. We have to keep
Yeah.
fighting together. We have to keep meeting at these events, but also the work again continues. That's why, I love that yesterday was, World Parkinson Day. April is World Parkinson, but none of it to me personally matters because we
It's
continue.
every day.
On May 1st, guess what? I'll still be doing 24/7. Actually, Tuesday, we're going to the Palm Beach County. I'll be speaking in the county commission.
Nice.
So, these things are great. It brings the world in. But I was wondering how many people last night, for the first time in history, we got the historic courthouse in West Palm Beach, Florida, lit up blue for Parkinson's World Spark tonight. But
Start the
I
night.
was sitting there wondering how many of these people will know it's, for Parkinson's, and until they do, we're going to do it again and then
Yeah,
again.
but you also got on the news. They made a
Yeah.
feature out of it, which is great. I mean, that's how you get out there,
I want a news story with you, with me and you about the sports show someday. I want it on,
Groundhog's Day or
I
something.
want it on ESPN and during the NBA show and
Let's
halftime.
do it.
Well, I want to send the show back to Tim to wrap up, but one of my favorite times of the show is the famous Tim quote.
Well, Peggy, what we like to do is we like to end with a motivational quote in the field or the sport that we're talking about. So obviously we're talking about running. So I found a quote, and I found it from Carl Lewis, but I got to tell you, Peggy, everything that you've said to us in the past half hour has led to this quote because it fits you like a glove. Um, Carl Lewis said, "You have to free your mind to do things that you normally would not do. Do not ever say no." I mean, you did not let Parkinson stop you from achieving a goal. You have another one about the Olympic torch. I have always said that, listen, we know Parkinson's now, it's coming out that it doesn't start in the brain, it starts possibly in the gut or the nose, but obviously it lives in your head. And I've always said you have got to get your head right. Even if you don't have Parkinson's, anything in life that you're trying to battle, you're already you're already behind the eight ball if your head's not on right, no matter what it is. An essay, I mean, a test when you're a kid, an exam, you have to have your head on right, especially with Parkinson's because it's trying to take that control away. So I think the first thing you have to be is positive, and don't let your body tell you that you can't do something. And you are a shining example of that because I'm sure, like me, you wake up every day and your body says you're not doing anything, and you just say, "The hell with that! Yes, I am." And I admire you so much for that. And you fit this code to a T. And thank you, and God bless so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I second that and third it and fourth it, fifth it and
Yeah,
million times more because Peggy, had the honor to know you for some time, but finally to be able to advocate together with Tim,
yeah.
it's just been an honor. So we wanted to thank you again for joining us today.
Well, thank you guys. It was a pleasure.
Well, I hope everyone will continue to support not just the show, but Peggy. Feel free to purchase the book, Sports and Slowing the Progression of
Yeah.
Parkinson. Put Peggy's name in the shopping cart so we know it's going directly to her. And of course, it's one of the sadder times, even though I'm thrilled every time we meet, is that I have to say goodbye to one of my brothers here in advocacy, Tim, until we meet again. But I want to thank you to everyone from Tim and myself. The
Thank you.
whole community is so supportive from MVP awards to Unity Walks. We just seem to keep showing up and nothing stops us. There are tough days, obviously, and we didn't get to talk about, but Tim also had a beautiful appearance with someone named Mr. Terry Crews, which I
Yeah.
would love to do someday. We need him on the show. I've tried, but still waiting to hear back. Him and we said I love, of course, his wife, his whole
Yes.
family, and of course, everyone out there listening, whether you're battling Parkinson's or a caregiver, you're all family to us. And again, I just hope to see you in either New York or Arizona, or you never know, at the next MVP Awards. And I'll be hopefully getting to meet Tim's whole family this time. I only get to meet one person from
I
him.
promise.
But I just want to thank again, Peggy. You're just truly a role model to so
Yes.
many. And I know next time I do a 5K, I'll be thinking of you and your marathon. Like, George, stop it, keep going. But this has been another episode of All Star PD Sportscast where we together, my co-host here, Tim, please follow him again at my PD Party. You can find me at togetherforsharon.com, where we discuss the world of sports on the progression of Parkinson's. We love you all, and we'll definitely see you very soon. We have a lot more shows to come. So we have so many more people that are inspiring us both. And like I joke with Tim, that whole, if you're listening, you're MVP, there's about 300 more people to keep our show going for
Yeah.
200 more years. So we love you, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Peggy.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.